What personal financial management means to them? Anybody? What is personal financial management? Sorry?
The course of financial skills you have within yourself to manage your business or your activity or whatsoever.
All right, good. Anybody else? Personal financial management. Management of your money and assets, good. Anybody else?
Your savings.
Savings. Usually when we talk about personal financial management, we talk about savings, we talk about investments, we talk about income, we talk about what? Expenditure. All right, and being able to manage those things in order to meet whatever our goals or whatever our financial objectives are. And so this afternoon session is a little bit about that. Now, in terms of the time I had, I just had 2 exercises to do with you all. So what I want to do is just give an overview of what the process, what the should be process is. So usually when we talk about personal financial management, the process usually starts with your financial goals. Could anybody give me examples of financial goals that they may have? So we spoke about goals earlier on in the evening. Could anybody give me examples of financial goals that you all have?
To own your own house.
All right. So maybe you want to own your own house, or actually you may want to construct or buy your own home in the next 2 years. Something like that might be one of the financial goals you have. What other financial goals you might have?
Retire.
Sorry?
Retire or be financially independent.
You may want to retire or to be financially independent by age 50 or 60. That would be a goal.
Set up a business.
You may have a financial goal to establish your own business, all right, and be independent. So people would have different financial goals, and that would basically drive the process, depending on what you have. Now, there is this concept of what they call the personal financial life cycle, all right? Anybody ever heard about that? So depending on your age, depending on your age, basically pretty much that would kind of define where your goals are. You all there? So like in earlier years, or what we call the formative years, your concern would be about what? You would have financial goals related to what? In your case, education, right? You're going to have to raise a certain amount of money to get educated, all right? As you get older, you're going to have financial goals maybe related to family, house, having a car, stuff like that. As you get older, your goal is going to be tied to things like developing your career, right? Putting yourself on that path to, as somebody said, financial independence. As you get even older in your latter years of your life, you're going to be concerned with what? How to actually distribute that money. The wealth that you have earned, how to actually retire and also distribute what you have. Everybody there? So basically there's this whole idea about having a personal financial life cycle, and depending on the stage in the life cycle where you are in terms of age, basically everybody would have like certain common types of goals. You know, there's some people aim to retire earlier than others. Some people maybe a little bit before, a little bit after, but generally you would find people in the early 20s and before, they're looking at educational goals. In your 30s and 40s, you're looking at developing a family, career development. In your 40s and 50s, you're more concerned with latter 40s, early 50s. You're concerned with protecting your assets and planning for retirement. In your early 60s and beyond, well, your concern is with retiring and distributing your wealth. Everybody with me? So financial goals going to differ in relation to that. Now, once you have an idea of what your financial goals are, Normally you want to perform what we call a PFA, or a personal financial assessment. Anybody could tell me what that is, what that would entail? Normally in finance, we talk about two basic things, all right? So let me see if I could draw an example. There are some certain terminologies which you need to know, right, in business. So the first one is, imagine that you have a home. Everybody there? Imagine that you have a home. The worth of that home, or the value of that home, is $1 million. Everybody there? The worth of that home is $1 million. And so basically that is what you have. Everybody there? But what happened is, that home that you have, you may have borrowed money to build that home. Everybody with me? And so the money that you borrow for that home might be maybe $500,000. Everybody with me? So that is basically what they call what you owe. Everybody there? And then the difference between what you have and what you owe is what we call what you own. You all there? Which is another $500,000. You all agree? Because $500,000 you borrow. $500,000 is what you actually put from your own money to build that home. And so the concept is, what you have minus what you owe is equal to what you own. What you own is actually what we call net worth. Net worth is what you actually own. You all there? Or they call it equity interest. If you're in business, they call it equity interest or equity stake. All right? And so that's a basic thing that you need to understand in business. The other term for it is something called net assets. Everybody there? One of the fundamental things you're concerned with in finance is establishing, when you're doing a PFA, a personal financial assessment, one of the things you want to know is, what is the net assets that you actually have in hand. Everybody there? So one of the things we're actually going to do is an exercise to determine what your net worth is, what is the net assets that you have in hand. So I'll guide you all through the process. That is one thing we want to do this afternoon. The second thing that we want to do is, net assets could either grow or it could fall over time. And so what you need to look at is what we call your cash flow. You all there? Your cash flow is basically the difference between income that you receive from different sources minus payments. All right, you all there? This is cash flow. If we talk about income and we talk about expenditure, we call that profit and loss. You all there? But when we talk about receipts and payments, we're talking about cash flow. In the business world, we say cash flow is king because everything will come back to cash flow. You all there? In business. So what we would say is that we need to understand what our net assets are. We need to understand what our current net assets are. We need to understand what our current cash flow is, and establish what our current position is and what our current financial flow is. And once we assess that, right? Once we assess that, then we need to look at what action we need to take to get us to achieve our goals. All right? So for example, when I was building my building, I made a decision not to go to the bank to borrow money. You all there? And because of that, I had to change my whole thinking about how to look at getting other sources of money. I had to diversify income. And so instead of just being an accountant, I had to go out into business. I had to actually, I started doing a seminar aspect to my business. So I would look for the top people in the world, bring them down in Trinidad, who seminars. That way I earned some income. Then I actually went out and started lecturing to people directly. I went lecturing for schools or for the government, for central bank. That was another source of income. And then I actually went and did a third thing. I actually had gone and started consulting with companies to help them solve the business problems. You all there? So that was a third source of income. And then I had to get a fourth source of income. I actually went and started training in companies to get things done. You all there? So whatever you want to do in life, you cannot sit down and wait and say things hard. If you say it hard, it's going to be what? It's going to be hard. You had to get up and get. Nobody was going to help me with what I have to do. You have to actually help yourself. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance. Yes, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to help those who do not help themselves. That's just how it is. Everybody there? So Allah give you a brain, and that's the best thing that He could have ever done. You had to use that brain to think about what you need to do to put yourself out of whatever position you're currently in. Am I clear or not clear? I'm telling you all why I do, right? I know about you all, but this is why we do. If it's not there, well, you had to create it. If it's not there, you have to create it. You had to be a doer, not a talker. Plenty of people like to talk about other people's business, but when it comes down to it, the people who get through is the people who actually do it. Do, not talk. So bury your head down and get it done. All of eczema. That's just the truth of it. Like you get another email. Share it with me. Share it with me. Yeah. Huh? No, what I'm saying is true. I actually once I have a goal, it's supposed to do it. Motivate you, and it's supposed to inspire you to get it done. Don't wait for nobody to get it done for you. You have to do it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you that brain to think out what you need to do. And that was the best thing I ever had. It's true. Right? So, we're going to do our personal financial assessment. So the first one we're going to do, on you fellas to give out the one called net worth statement. Now again, this one is personal, and I don't think I want to ask you all to share this one at all. Right? You're giving out 1 page per person. Net worth statement.